Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you for stopping by. I'm always grateful. Macro thoughts. Brent has briefly traded below $30 a barrel for the first time since April 2004. Put up a chart that Holger posted. And this takes me back to a number of articles I wrote in 2014, 2015, but 10th of August 2015 I said, "The end is nigh for crude oil and oil producers from Caracas to Luanda, from Riyadh to Abuja. Oil-based economies," I said, "are going to contract. Currencies which have already collapsed are going to be routed. And Greek-style austerity will be the order of the day. The meltdown," I said, "is coming." Home thoughts. Last year, my eldest daughter Aysha, whom I adore, endured a setback in her A-levels. It caught us all by surprise because she's a very bright girl. Well, it was very stressful and she resat her exams, and yesterday we learned she got an A star, an A and a B, and we are so pleased. So well done, Aysha. And I told Aysha, it's not about who you are when you're up, it's how you stand up when you've fallen down. And that took me back to a fellow called Mo Preem, who was a relative of Tupac. And there's a fantastic documentary called Biggie and Tupac. The link is on the website. Go to minute 26, I think, and listen to it for about a couple of minutes and hear what Mo Preem says. He really is tremendous. He says, to judge a character of a man, and this can just be a woman, to judge a character of a man or woman, judge how he comes back from hardship. I think I'll tell Aysha that and show it to her today. Layla also did her AS level and got 87% in English, which is a really good score, given how monosyllabic she can be at times. If you're looking for that link, it's on the website, Mo Preem from the Biggie and Tupac documentary. I like this photograph, Apollo 16 astronaut Charlie Duke on the moon, April 21st, 1972. And then this photograph that my friend Hervé in Kinshasa sent to me, which is a photograph taken by MONUSCO. Virunga National Park, Congo. Two guards of the Virunga National Park contemplate the lava of Nyiragongo Great Crater, which rises to 3,470 meters. Political reflections. Bloomberg led yesterday with an article saying Obama's State of the Union optimism at odds with voter anxiety. And I said to myself, that's called leadership, when you lead your people. And what I like about President Obama is always getting people to look up, not down. In true Obama fashion, it was a call for hope over fear. He argued against the gloom dominating Republican campaign rhetoric. If it sounded familiar, that's because it contained echoes of the optimistic tone and unifying vision of the 2004 Democratic National Convention speech that thrust Obama onto the national stage. Still, Obama's valedictory report on the nation provided him a chance to brag. The auto industry has just had its best year ever, he reminded Americans. And what I like about him is pretty subtle. He said, gas under $2 a gallon ain't bad either. Anyone claiming that America's economy is in decline is peddling fiction, and that took me back to something I wrote exactly this time last year when I spoke about the oil warfare specialist President Obama successfully wrestling crude to below $50 a barrel, and here we are, close to below 30. If you're not drinking coffee tomorrow reading about how this thing got resolved, was a quote from a Josh Reagan and Layla article in Bloomberg View, quoting someone saying the administration is in a no-win situation with Iran. Once you start dancing with a bear, The only problem is you can't let go, he said. This administration has no choice but to keep on dancing. Well, just think about the speed of that release of those hostages, and that's the message. South Korea fired warning shots over the border as tensions rise after they spotted an unidentified aerial vehicle approaching its heavily fortified border with North Korea. North Korea may be trying to raise anxiety among South Korean troops by deliberately letting them spot its drone. If not, it could be part of a scouting mission before North Korea devises a plan to target South Korean speakers. And then this was an interesting point. Official television network showed the regime's number 2 60-something General Hwang Pyong-so kneeling and covering his mouth to address the leader Kim Jong-un. And that's the nature of an imperial court, isn't it? Refugees aboard a train at the Macedonia-Greek border on Tuesday, the photographers Getty Images. A number of refugees entering Europe in the first 10 days of 2016 is already 3 times the level in all of January 2015. And I was concluded by saying this can go 10 times versus what it was last year. It's a well-calculated target aimed at undermining Turkey's tourism industry. This is the suicide bombing in Istanbul. Tourism directly accounts for 4.7% of the economy. The government plans to boost receipts to $35.5 billion by the end of 2017, from $31.5 billion last year. From Bloomberg View again, if Erdogan sounds defensive, it's because many Turks hold him personally responsible for what they see as blowback from both the PKK and the Islamic State. As for Islamic State, its adherents hide in plain sight among the 2 million or more Syrian refugees in Turkey in his attempts to dislodge President Bashar al-Assad from power in Syria. Erdogan turned a blind eye to extremist fighters crossing the border, including Islamic State fighters. This allowed the group to put down roots in Turkey. Put a picture up of the inside view of the Sultan Ahmet Cami Mosque in Istanbul, Turkey, where we actually went a number of times. Those very words, regrettable and unacceptable, are now the peak of the critical lexicon which we are permitted to use about the Saudis. International markets, US stocks sell off broadly. Dow drops more than 300 points, lowest level since September. This is Holger. China dumping US treasuries for the first time on record. Again, Holger, have a look at how much they dumped. Currency markets, euro back above 109, 109.20. Dollar index around the 98.93 level. Japanese yen 117.73. The Swissy, when I looked last, it was 101.0067. The pound, about which I've been very bearish last, trading at 143.65. Aussie proxy for China 0.6924, India rupee 66.963, South Korean won 12.1179, Rial 401.91, Egyptian pound 783.01, South African rand, about which I'm a big bear, 16.6341. The yen has gained versus its major peers as traders focus on oil and equities. Have a look at this diagram I'm about to put up. I got from Bloomberg, which shows you how much the yen has outperformed. I'll put up a 1-year chart of the dollar index. My target is 110. I'll put up a 1-year chart of dollar yen. My target is 105 this year. I'll put up a 1-year chart of the euro dollar. I expect it for now to hold above that bottoming area, which was between 104.80 and 105.50. Dollar Canada 143.74 trading last. My target is 155. Commodity markets, gold 10. Where are we? Gold is at 1091.10. Crude oil has been all over the shop. Brent is about 30.45, and March 2016, crude oil is just above 31.50. But clearly we're still in this moment when I think we're still headed lower. Lots of rumours, funnily enough, from the Daily Star, which is a tabloid, but it's about President Mugabe's health. Zimbabwe so far declined to comment on Mugabe health rumours. There were rumours that the 91-year-old leader had suffered a heart attack, saying a response to the latest speculation about his health was unnecessary. Online news website Nigh published a letter on Tuesday by an anonymous author saying Mugabe was reported to have collapsed after suffering a heart attack while on holiday with his family. President Mugabe's mother lived to over 100. His longevity DNA is not to be doubted. I was interviewed by The Guardian, anxious times for Africa's oil giants as commodities boom starts to bust. Clara used Richard Kapuscinski's quotation, oil is a resource that anesthetizes thought, blurs vision, and corrupts. Talking about how the wheels are coming off a decade-long commodities supercycle. Countries in Africa, a dangerous mix of lower export revenues, depreciating currencies, declining financial flows from China, falling domestic demand, and higher debt costs following last month's US interest rate rise. The price of Brent crude has plummeted from around $100 to below $30 this week. Prices for other commodities such as copper, zinc have also fallen, mainly because of slowing demand in China, once hailed as the no-strings economic saviour for African countries tired of dealing with former colonial powers. More than 80% of African exports are linked to commodities. I said the commodities supercycle is dead in the water. It's already sent some big African sub-Saharan economies into a tailspin. In Zambia, for example, the currency has pretty much collapsed. If you put $100 in the Zambian stock market, at the beginning of 2015, at the end of the year, you would be taking out 14. Sharply reduced oil prices have really improved the dynamics of the East African economies because we are still net oil importers. You are already seeing it improve the current account deficit in Tanzania and Kenya. I think it's going to provide some momentum for our economies. That's why I'm bullish about East Africa. Debt will be a problem. Some oil-producing African countries have accepted loans from China, and some of these are collateralized by oil priced at a level that is now just a fond memory. In fact, if you look at China's loan book, that must have deteriorated very, very dramatically. These countries that were just making it now have tipped over the edge because they're going to find it very expensive to borrow international money. They're being squeezed. They don't have enough of a productive economy. And also taxes will slow down very, very dramatically. It's an irony, I said, that Nigeria is sending any of its oil out to be refined only to import it back. It's definitely been a wake-up call. You find policymakers tend to make changes when their feet are held to the fire. This is the equivalent of having their feet held to the fire. I said the hardest hit African countries will be forced to call on the IMF for help in raising money on international markets, as the oil-producing Ghana has already been forced to do. It's really unprecedented, the kind of pressure that policymakers are under, and quite a lot of these guys are making a lot of idiotic schoolboy errors, I said. For example, President Lungu in his prayer rallies, the room for error is no longer there, and mistakes will be badly punished. Hunger stalks South Africa as El Nino decimates harvests. The price of white corn, a staple, has more than doubled since the start of 2015, while the yellow variety, that's a base for animal feed, has advanced 63% on the South African Futures Exchange. Both cereals have traded at record highs this month. It's Zimbabwe, he said. I don't know if it's God or the ancestors, but it seems to me that we're being made to suffer disaster after disaster. Perhaps we are being punished. put up a photograph of some that I found on a report. Heartbreaking photos show the country hardest hit by El Nino. And then my friend Jerome Starkey writes for the Times, tourists flock to world's biggest lava lake in a country rife with danger. There is no nanny state at the lip of a volcano, after a curt warning from mountain rangers that the edge of the crater is unstable. So don't get too close. The tourists have hiked to Mount Nyarangongo's summit, 11,000 feet above sea level, are free to gaze at the world's biggest lava lake without so much as a handrail to steady them. Jason Stern says the next round of bargaining may happen on the streets of Kinshasa. And the Guardian has an article on the Congolese activists standing up to Kabila's government. Telema, they're called #Telema. Angola, the war on social media and the trial of activists. This is following the president's outline of his war on social media. Judge Joanaro Domingos is making history by being the first to hear a case of a political joke on Facebook that has displeased the regime. This is the point. Angola is one of those countries which are under tremendous pressure, and an iron fist can be an approach you can use for only so long. South African oil shares down 4.5% so far this year. Dollar rand, when I looked last, was at 16.60, but I'm not sure where it is now. My target remains 20. Egyptian pound 783. Egyptian EGX 30 down 11.43%. President Buhari and the anxious expectations of Nigerians was an article in Counter Punch. Do take a look at it. Saying the mantra of change, which has remained the slogan for the redemption of Nigeria, acquired more force along its tortuous journey. Nationwide support of Nigerians for the evolving vision of President Muhammadu Buhari. The Nigerian Stock Exchange fell 3.3% on Wednesday, to its lowest level since September 2012, and it's fallen the most among 93 global indices tracked by Bloomberg. It's down 12.36% year to date. The Nigerian Naira printed a new low of 300 per dollar on the black market. The Ghana Stock Exchange is up, bucking the trend, up 0.93% this year. Very interesting piece I came across. Explorers traverse the Okavango Delta to bring the beauty and wonder of the African wetland wilderness to the public through open source and real-time data. I haven't had a chance to visit. I'd love to visit. Traveling along a river in a mokoro, a shallow water canoe, propelled using a pole while standing. Through one of the numerous channels that make up the alluvial fan that is the Okavango Delta, you will catch glimpses of hippos, crocodiles, elephants, lions, and countless other species of birds and mammals living in Africa's last remaining wetland wilderness. And then I like these photographs from an outstanding article. Well, first of all, let me put up a photograph of these mokoros filled with gear and crew, shallow water canoes used to traverse the varying depths of the rivers and canals surrounding the delta. And then I like this, sail unfurled, Dow heads out to the Bazaruto Islands, lovely photograph of sunset. And then someone else in this article about Maputo says, welcome to my office, beats a classroom, doesn't it? Yes it does, Mozambique, it's the wild west out here, but I love it, the ocean, the people, the food. The food is particularly good, as other people. And the oceans. Donna Anna, I'll put up that photograph as well. Coming to Kenya, US denies direct support for Kenya's pipeline. In a statement on Wednesday, the US said that Mr. Godek did not say that the US government will help finance the construction of the pipeline. He expressed support for a proposal by a consortium of American companies to participate in the Lapsset Corridor project, which conceptually includes an oil pipeline component, said the statement. The Chief Justice made some very forthright comments as Kenya is run by mafia-style cartels, speaking to a Dutch newspaper, Willie Matunga, claimed organised crime stretched across all of Kenyan society and never been worse. The influence of the cartels is overwhelming. They are doing illegal business with politicians. If we do not fight them, we become their slaves, he said. In Kenya, the counterfeit economy is worth $1.2 billion annually, according to the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. It has got involved in supporting politicians in a big way. When a racket as in Kismayo prevails, what is the role of the state? He asked. The connection between cartels and politicians must be broken. The status quo is deeply rooted, but there comes a time when the leaders have to say, now we fight it out, said Virunga. The Kenya shilling, when I looked last, was at 102.39. And it's been very tough on the Nairobi All Share. Is down 2.05% this year, but remember, it's considerably less than South Africa, Nigeria, and Egypt. The NSE 20 is down 3.98% year to date. Yesterday at the stock market, Safaricom firmed 0.63%. We saw some good volume in Equity Group, which rallied 1.29%. The cement stocks have been catching people's eye because of that very strong double-digit year-on-year increase in cement consumption. The SGR refers. And finally, Kengen turned 0.2% better to close at 690. This is an extraordinarily priced share on a P ratio of less than 2. And we have our first Mind Speak of the year with Albert Muga, who is the CEO of Kengen, and a number of his key officers. We're looking forward to that tremendously. Once again, thank you for stopping by.